Great to see you again, man. It's been way too long. Probably Hotel Transylvania, whatever the last one you did, I
Oh
think.
wow, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a while ago. Yeah, a while ago. So coming soon. Yeah. So Fixed is, I mean, to say it's very different from everything else you've done is would be an understatement. Um, but you're back. You did with Sony Animation, so obviously you convinced them that a movie about dogs swearing and doing all sorts of lewd things would work. What can you talk about that? Like, what got you going on this? Was this something which you originated, or was there some kind of script going around which kind of came to you and then you developed it from there?
No. I originated it, and it all started like around 2008,
Oh wow.
where I have a group of high school friends, like a lot of people do. They have like childhood friends, and like my friends make me laugh like nobody else, right? And so one day around that time, I decided like, well, how can I translate that chemistry, but for everybody? So it's not just inside jokes for us. It's making the exaggerate the characters enough that everybody would get it, right? And so that became Buds, which was the original pitch of Fixed. And so I went to Sony and Hannah Mangella, and I pitched it, and it was for adults. So if you can recall the landscape for adult stuff in 2008, there was really nothing. I mean, there's the beginnings of Adult Swim and all these adult shows, but TV series, features were nothing. Anyways, and so I pitched it to her, and she got it, but she still said you need a concept to have the story be. It can't just be like a road trip or something. So in that moment when I was sitting there, it was like lightning struck me. And within a second, I said, well, what if it's a dog and he finds out he's going to get neutered in the morning?
Hmm.
And that was it. And everybody laughed, and we started going with it.
This is pre-Sausage Party, right? This is still way
Oh
before.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
years before
Okay.
Sausage Party, yeah.
And so they had, I mean, they did that with Sony Animation also, right? Or was that?
Well, so yeah, so it's like it's interesting because we wrote the script with Sony funding it, but then Sony passed on it.
Oh, okay.
Right? So then you try to sell it around town, and pre-COVID, it's hard because then people have to just buy it out. There's no like co-productions really. That's like a post-COVID thing to a degree. Everybody's got their brands and they're trying to work at it. And it wasn't until like 2019 or even 20 where New Line wanted to do a low-budget R-rated comedy. And I go, well, I got the project for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then they pay for the movie. So it's a New Line production, but a Sony Animation made film.
Got it. Okay.
Oh,
cool. So I am curious. I mean, were you in the middle of making this when Strays came out also? Was that also a kind of a thing to kind of like...
Yeah, it was kind of very nerve-wracking because I'm like, all of a sudden there's this movie that's got some similarities, but it was. But, that movie bombed, and I wasn't sure if that's going to hurt me or help me, But yeah, I was nervous about it.
Yeah. I'm sure you're gonna get asked this like literally by everyone, but are you a dog person yourself? Or do you have like a house full of dogs, or do you have one dog that kind of...
I have 3 dogs, so
yeah. You have 3? Okay.
Yeah, I have 3 dogs, 2 little King Charles Cavaliers and a Saint Bernard, and yeah, I love dogs. I never actually. It's funny because I never grew up with dogs, but when I was after I got married, my wife, her father was he bred dogs like big English Mastiffs.
Oh wow.
And the first time I met a Mastiff, I was like, wow, it's like a real person, because they're so huge and they have so much personality that I just fell in love. And so our first dog as a family was a Mastiff as well.
So during this time, I mean, were you like the dog would do something funny, you'd make a note of it or something like that? Were there things that you were kind of like grabbing from these dogs to...
Yeah, it was kind of up here. Like I don't think I made like notes. But I definitely, because I'm in animation and like I'm an observer, and I notice things, personalities, whatever, and I kind of make a note of it. So whenever, and like I would mess around with our dogs, and like I would make a voice for them, like, hey Dad, why don't you just feed me or whatever, what I mean? I would verbalize their thoughts, and so that's exactly what we were doing in Fixed, like what are they saying at the park to each other? Why are they barking at each other? Why are they smelling the same spot? Like things, observational dog behavior was part of the comedy that we wanted to do as well.
Yeah. Now, what was the time frame? Like, I can't remember when Hotel Transylvania, the first one, came out, But were you like, I mean, was it something you pitched to Sony even before or
Yeah.
during that whole process, or the
Yeah,
first
in
movie?
actuality, so I pitched in 2009, probably, right? 2008, I was developing it. Then they passed in 2010 because Hannah moved on and the next set of executives that came in didn't want to do it.
Hmm.
But then 2 weeks later, after they passed, they called me and they go, "We just fired our directors in Hotel T. Do you want to come in and take a look at it, see if you'd want to do it?" At the time, my TV series got canceled. Then I came in and I saw what they had, and I was like, "Yeah, Adam Sandler, monsters. Yeah, I can make this funny and work." And that was it. That was Fixed was my into Sony, actually.
Oh wow! So this is a different kind of animation style than the Hotel Transylvania. Is different than Primal, Samurai Jack. Very different from what we normally see from you. Do you still approach it the same way? Do you still find the actors, record all the voices, and then go from there? Is that still your process for this? Or
Yeah, it's all the same. And the funny thing is that this truly is my bread and butter style. Like, this style is kind of based on Tex Avery and Warner Brothers
Sure.
animation, which is my whole being in a way. And so this is the style that I understand the most, the style that I research the most, that I've drawn the most. It's in Dexter, it's in Samurai, it's in Primal, where there doesn't really look like it, but it really is. And so this was just a very natural extension of what I do.
it's also very different from Primal, Samurai Jack, because it's definitely more script dialogue based, where those are very visual based. Very, but this is like very much, you have to write the jokes, you have to have a script. You have a full script like before even going out to acting.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, you do. Okay, you never
yeah,
know. A lot of animation, you can write that
totally.
go along for sure, and you have ad libs and all that stuff. So I'm sure if you had like a full
Yeah.
script,
No, we definitely had to, because you got to sell it with the script. For a movie, it's very, very hard. It's very hard to sell a movie to begin with, but then if you have a different way of selling it, that's even harder. And so, yeah, we had a script, and the original script was written by myself and John Vitti, who was like a Simpsons office writer. He was really funny. And then from there, there's been different variations that we've been like updating it and making it better, making the jokes better, and then, then once we get our voice actors, then we start rewriting it some more just to make sure it fits their voice. And so, yeah, but yeah, the process is still very classic. And this was, right, the first hotel was 2012.
Oh, okay.
But the third hotel was 2018, and this was like a few years after that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So how do you got to Adam, like was Adam Devine the first person that you thought of for Bull, the first person you cast, or were you kind of like finding people for each character as it went along, and he ended
Yeah,
up?
I mean, like in 2008, I wanted it to be Jonah Hill.
Oh, okay.
Back then, like I think it was that type. And then we had some other people on the list, but then Adam was the most that really got the material and the most enthused about it, and he really is that personality in a way. He's kind of, it's like a very interesting character because it's a guy who's got a lot of confidence, right, but is full of insecurity. So it's a very interesting. I call it like the modern day nerd. They're pretty confident, but they're super nerdy on the outside.
And I mean, how do you go to someone like Idris Elba to get to play a dog? I mean, is it just a matter of like, did you send them the script and they read it and they go, "Oh, I like the character," or do you just describe the character, give him a few jokes, and kind of like know what he's gonna be doing?
I thought it was going to be a waste of time of sending it to him because I'm like, he's like a legit actor. At least Adam does comedy and he kind of does raunchy things, so I get that. But Idris is like, he's talked about being the next James Bond. Like, he's going to do this movie. And so, yeah, we sent him the script, but I sent him a bunch of drawings of how he was going to kind of look like. And he liked it, and so that was it. And then, and this was during COVID. So all the recordings were done over, plus he's in London. So they were done all over Zoom, and he was great. He was like, he was bigger than life as he acted and stuff. And that's one of the things where you kind of see how the actor changes the personality a little bit, because initially in my first conception of Rocco, he was kind of like, very soft spoken, almost like a Clint Eastwood type delivery. And then when Idris came on the mic, he was like, "So Bull, I gotta tell you," like he was bigger than life. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that kind of works for that." And he owned up to it. And so we adjusted the script for him.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of below the line people, and a lot of VFX people during COVID. about the shift and all that stuff. I mean, how was the shift for you as an animator doing this kind of stuff? I mean, obviously the recording you can do via Zoom and things like that, of course. But I mean, other things, was it a big transition for you, or?
It's I mean, I hate to say it, but it wasn't, because for the last couple of years I was working with more and more international people. So like the studio that was doing Primal, they're in France, and I only had like 3 or 4 employees here, and they were one's in New York, one's in Canada. And so we were already doing like a Zoom production in a way, because we were all over the place, and I was already working at home 90% of the time, and because I was in between projects, and so it was the most natural thing that happened, and yeah, and because I draw for my directing, 95% of the stuff what I do, you can have, the programs you could draw on it, and everybody sees what you're drawing. So it was a really very natural progression.
Yeah, I'm sorry I won't be there tomorrow night to see this with an audience in Paris. I'm sure it plays great with a real audience. But I was curious, a shift to Netflix, because when you made this movie, I assume it was always going to be as a theatrical primarily, and that shift. I mean, was it something that kind of like we're in the middle of the movie and you're making the movie, and it was just all of a sudden like, okay, Netflix is going to release it and buy it, and
No, they came on after the movie was done. We actually finished the movie in 2023. New Line fell out. They couldn't release it anymore. It was going to get shelved. They sold it back to Sony. Sony still passed on it, even finished. And then we tried to sell it for all of 2024. And in January, Netflix passed on it as well.
Oh, wow.
Which was kind of weird. And so I couldn't sell it last year. And it was very hard on your confidence and your mental state. You're like, what did I make that nobody wants this? Like, it's crazy, In the same time, we had great test screenings. Everybody was laughing, right? So, and then in January of this year, all of a sudden Netflix goes, hey, we want it. So it's kind of a crazy story. I always hoped for a happy ending. And yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, like watching a comedy in a theater is very different than watching a comedy at home, but maybe like for this movie, because you're by yourself, you don't have to worry about who's judging you about what you're laughing at.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so I think it can work for both. But like we had this screening in Annecy, like, 1,000 people. I mean, obviously it's like the perfect audience because they're all animation fans and stuff. And it was like start to finish, crazy, big, huge laughs, cheering at moments. So it was incredible.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I feel like Netflix had an event a few weeks ago for their more adult oriented. I feel like they're kind of like taking over not taking over, but they're kind of filling like what Adult Swim was doing. They're kind of like trying to get into that realm more, which is working with this works perfectly for. So I don't have a question there. Just make a comment.
Well, it's interesting because the landscape of adult animation is changing. For sure. Where Netflix is definitely having great success with adult stuff, and the kids business is disappearing as far as the kids TV series, which is crazy to think that a show like SpongeBob, as big as it was, might not find a home if it was pitched today. So it's like everybody's trying to catch up on people's viewing habits and the death of cable, like all that stuff that's happening right now. But yeah, adult, and that's great for us because adult animation is so much more freeing, right? And you can really do whatever in a way.
But also theatrical animation's also been having trouble. I mean, it's not like, when DreamWorks Animation, who used to do like a $50 million weekend, is now doing about half that. It's obviously like people are rather watch animation at home, I guess. But I mean, yeah.
I mean, I think it's a complex scenario where, I think people forget animation history, and that's, Toy Story was an original movie, and so, Shrek was original, little book, but nobody knew about it. And so these originals those are the movies that made the industry.
Oh yeah.
And now there's, everybody's in this IP craze. IPs only go so much, and so you want it to be original, and I think Netflix is kind of realizing that, and they're embracing it. And so they have, with K-pop and other movies coming out, they're recognizing that that's their ticket in.
Genndy, it's great seeing you again, man. Congratulations on this movie. Again, I'm sorry that I can't make it tomorrow night. I'm sure it's gonna be a great screening, a lot of fun. Paris is an amazing theater for any movie. So, but hope to see you again. Are you gonna kind of bounce between features and series that can, and your sequentials, that can be your thing still for a while, or?
Yeah, I've got Primal 3 coming out, but that's all finished. And then I'm trying to pitch some movies, some more things, and then who knows, if Fixed is super successful, maybe we'll do another one of some